As we get ready to go back to school, I am today going to unleash a feisty, spirited debate. And my purpose is not to cause tension or division, but just to stir up a conversation as you head back to school. You ready for this? It is a timeless, almost eternal debate. Vegetable or fruit? Vegetable or fruit? Some fruit, some vegetable. Who says vegetable? Who says fruit? The scientists and the nutritionists will tell us that this is a fruit. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in your fruit salad. Knowledge is knowing that this is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in your fruit salad. And it's one thing to know something, but wisdom is so very different. It's how you apply what you have come to know. For the last 5 weeks, we have been reading, hearing, unpacking the Gospel of John, the Bread of Life discourse that reminds us, teaches us, proclaims to us over and again what we need to know deep in our heart and deep in our faith. That at this table, when we are so wise to gather here, what we celebrate, what we receive, is the body of Jesus Christ. He is the living bread. He is the saving cup, and he is sacramentally present to us every time we gather at this table. And whoever comes here regularly and faithfully and eats this bread will live forever. It's one thing to know that, yes? It's another to have the wisdom to live it. And the first reading and the second reading today take what we know and what we've been hearing and coming to understand in the gospel. And the first and second reading today help us understand to have the wisdom to live it with our lives. The first reading is from the book of Proverbs. It's part of the wisdom literature of the Bible. And what is Proverbs saying to us? That it is the wise person that sets their life, sets their home, even sets the rhythm of their week by coming to the table of the Lord. Because at this table, we find strength for the journey. At this table, we find everything we need. Go to the second reading from Paul to the Ephesians. Paul really outlines then what it means to be a Eucharistic people, what it means to live what we receive at this table. And he says, for those who understand what we celebrate and what we receive here, first of all, there's an urgency, better said, a preciousness of time. That every moment then is an opportunity to live in the presence of God and to live out what it means to be a Eucharistic people. And he says, wisdom then is living the will of the Father, being filled with God's Spirit, and being grateful and thankful in praise. I'm going to unpack that in a different order. That when we realize that we receive God into our hearts, then every day and every moment of every day, we are filled with God. What a blessing, amen? And when we are filled with God, then we have the wisdom, the insight to clearly understand what it is that God is asking of us with great clarity. Because if we know that God is with us, our hearts filled with God's Spirit, then we should have a clarity of all the choices that we need to make each day and always. And that clarity, that godly spirit, should unleash in us a sense of joy, gratitude, and praise to the Lord. It's one thing to know that this is a fruit. It's another thing to know, to have wisdom, not to put it in your fruit salad. Knowledge is knowing what we receive at this table. The living bread, the saving cup, Jesus Christ. He is strength for the journey. Whoever eats this bread faithfully will live forever. It's another thing to have the wisdom to live it with our lives. And so we want to center our lives, our homes, our families, even our routine on coming to this table. Because when we come to this table, we are literally filled with God. When we come to this table, we have the wisdom, the insights to clearly understand the will of God for us. And when we have that clarity of purpose, of meaning, of mission, then we should go forth filled with a joy, with a praise, with a thanks to God. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in your... And thank God nobody threw it at me. That's why I didn't let it go.